Breathe in the air. Cringe at its intoxication. Expel it. Repeat. These are the actions that drive us forward, and that is all we need to do. Kicking up dust with steel-toed boots was a tall young man. An oversized windbreaker kept close around his thin frame as he walked, while displacing a black satchel from his knobby shoulders. A loosely put bundle of golden tresses pulled strands away from pale scars. A knife dangled loosely from the belt loop of his oil-stained jeans. They looked like they had seen a blow or two. Large sheets of scrap metal littered the road. The cement splintered like wood every which way. What were once proud and erect buildings crumbled away until barely the doorway stood, and thick streams oozed from thin crevices. The distance neared. One couldn't see very far out. Of course, it wouldn't have mattered if it were possible. It all looked the same. The void of silence was quickly filled by the reminiscence of screams. Through memories he trembled and glanced down towards his knife, running his calloused fingers down the dulled blade. How long had it been now? A week? A month? He could no longer tell. All the days were slowly merging. As he walked further, and his shadow lengthened under the cool winter sun, there was a larger variety of debris. Toys, remnants of furniture, brick walls, tattered clothes and photos strewn about. All things that would have belonged to somebody. He tried to remember the last time he had seen people down these roads, but couldn't. Still clinging to the ruins of houses were shredded streamers. Graffiti ladered the rubble, giving a pop of colour to the otherwise monochrome environment, the remains of a festival. He cocked his ear to one side. The silence was interrupted by a piercing scream. He shrugged it off as normalcy and started to clamber over the remains. But then he heard a faint, muffled sob. Scrambling faster over the mountain of relics, the cries became louder and louder. They were right under his feet. Frantically he started digging, his hands beginning to bleed. The adrenaline rushed in, his breath quickened, the crying quieted. A hand emerged from the rubble. It was missing part of a finger. He then grabbed at it, clammy with fear and sweat, and with his free hand dug further down to get to the bicep. Ruins against ruins clicked and crashed together as another young man was pulled out, taking deep, heavy breaths. His eyes were stained red under a mop of greasy black hair.
Are you all right?
The traveller asked, putting a palm to the victim's forehead to ensure he wasn't burning up. A smile quickly spread across the other's face as he immediately enveloped his rescuer in a hug, smacking hard against his back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Hesitantly, the blonde accepted the hug.
Yeah, no problem.
Bros gonna help each other out. I knew it. For days I waited and I said, somebody's gonna come for me. They wouldn't forget about Figaro. God wouldn't want me to end up like that.
The brunette shook his head as if in a jumble of thoughts.
Maria.
Actually, my name is Roald.
The traveller waved to get the brunette's attention.
Hey.
The victim slapped his knee, then clutched his stomach while belting out in laughter. It seemed like a bit much, but then again everything would seem better to one who had nothing.
You're so funny, bro. So funny.
He glanced down at his rescuer's equally unclean hands.
We both got a little... I got water in my car if you want to rinse off. Clean stuff, too. Now, that ain't easy to come across no more, but...
Car? Did you just say car?
Car. The vroom vroom.
His smile shrank.
I don't know if it'll be there, though. People don't know how to keep their hands to themselves no more.
Can you take me to it? I've been walking for a while and, well, I mean, if you don't mind, sir. Man,
Nah, man. It's cool. Bros have got to help each other out, especially now. I mean, it's so unsafe.
He tried to stand up, but his legs trembled as though 1,000 needles were stabbing through his skin. After he collapsed, He extended his disfigured hand.
Figaro. Heyo!
Hesitantly, Roald extended his hand as well, only to endure a violent shaking.
Where are you to?
I need to get to Saikeu.
Oh, that's pretty close. How come?
I've heard the Ant of Normal heads out there.
Roald's legs screamed with displeasure as he tried to pull his newfound companion up.
I need to ask it something.
A look of familiarity crossed over Figaro's face. He teetered on his feet, cautiously crawling over the wreckage.
I've heard that too. They say she's a witch, heals by touch and reads your mind and stuff. And that is whack. If I had all that, do you realize how rich I'd be? I wouldn't be hanging around here no more, that's for sure. There's a reason it's only a rumor, though. Still.
He stepped on a crooked plate of cement. Solid ground at last. Figaro bent down on all fours and kissed it, then murmured a short prayer before continuing on.
Just thinking about all that super psycho mumbo-jumbo gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Oh, I get it. See, we had people like you back where I come from, too. They were addicts.
More of a distance amassed between Figaro and Roald.
Oh, man. My only drug is life.
He paused, sadness briefly clouding his expression.
Life and Maria. Hard to have one without the other.
They started walking, worn feet beating down against the cracked pavement.
You, got a Maria yourself?
What? I guess. I got a family somewhere.
Trailing off, Roald's eyes grew cloudy. The screams came back and wouldn't leave his ears. Crackling flames, somebody's hand on his. He felt it. He still felt it, growing stronger, getting closer.
I couldn't help them. I had to leave.
He tried to cling on to his original thought, the screaming amassed to a choir of agony. A bottle smashed, glass pieces skidding across the cement, forcing Roald to jerk up in surprise.
Sorry, I'm a little klutz.
Figaro blushed as he gazed at the broken bottle.
What were you saying?
Nothing important.
Shaking the thoughts from his head, he then muttered,
An empty mind is divine, an empty mind does one kind.
All right, bro. You sure you're not the addict here?
Please, you know what happened to the plants?
Figaro shrugged as they walked up to the bare skeleton of a car. The pipes and wires were hanging loose, with no flesh to conceal them.
Oh, damned metal thuggers!
His face twisted into something hard to recognize. Hobbling over to his possession, he exclaimed,
Oh, at least they didn't nab the important bits.
Jumping directly into the torn leather seats, he reached down and pulled out a pack of water, concealed by thick layers of fabric.
Haha, what are you waiting for, bruh? Hop in.
Lagging behind, Roald pressed his fingertips against his head.
Okay, so if I remember correctly, we want to head east. And the sun's starting to head down that way, so we should...
Wildly, the engine roared to life, and a thinly spread grin crawled across Figaro's face.
Ah, you hear that? She's purring.
She?
Roald stepped over shredded metal tubing towards the car.
She. Does she have a name?
He sat down semi-comfortably in the passenger seat.
Yes. Car. C-A-R. Car.
Figaro passed the blonde a bottle of water as his foot slammed down on the accelerator and the vehicle shot forward. Upon splashing the water over his hands, Roald watched the thick layers of grime and blood fade away. It was a foreign feeling to him. The seat jostled with every bump, and with almost no walls around him, there was no feeling of safety. Figaro reached over to crank some tunes, but the slashed wires didn't make it audible, so he made up his own instead. The screeching tires left a trail of dust behind them while Roald choked on the pollutants, and Figaro was humming his tune. Whipping past them were downed trees, the mountains off in the distance with their snow-covered peaks. But even with that, it was so barren.
So tell me about yourself, bro.
Figaro sung over the whine of the motor, to the same tune he was humming before levelling out to practical speech.
If you'd kindly. After all, it ain't too often you see anybody around, and I like my stories.
Roald's fingertips found their way to the grip of his knife's handle.
I don't know what you want to hear.
A serious look crossed Figaro's face.
What's your favorite sauce?
What?
Sauce. It's like a liquid you pour on top of things to make them taste.
I know what it is, but what kind of question is that?
Mine's honey barbecue.
I like ranch, I guess.
Now we're getting somewhere. Piece of advice for you, bro. Don't second guess yourself. You gotta be confident in you. Ain't nobody knows you like you.
And I guess you're working 9 to 5 as a fortune cookie.
Never worked a day in my life, actually.
The answer did not come as much of a shock.
But I like frying grub up at home. My one regret is getting kicked out of school. Couldn't learn like anybody else. But you don't need to memorize facts for cooking. You just go.
That sounds incredibly dangerous.
Well, you know what they say. If you can't stand the heat, go work with ice cream.
No, I mean, don't you need to make sure everything's clean and, safe to eat? You can't just go on anything.
When we get a chance, I'm gonna make you a sandwich. If you can eat it, you can eat it.
Figaro remarked, looking focused on the environment, as though he was searching for something.
God damn it, now I'm hungry. Let's change the subject. What about you? What do you do?
Glancing down at his oil-stained jeans, Roald replied,
I was training to be a mechanic.
Yeah, you can get a lot of moolah that way.
No, that's not why I was doing it.
The seat was jostling underneath him from every crack under the tires. Roald held on to the frame of the car.
I guess I like helping people. And with mechanics, there's only one right answer. Everything's simple.
Forgive me if I don't believe that.
Figaro spoke, the mop of onyx black hair flailing uncontrollably around his strong jawline.
Drawing schematics, measuring, welding pieces. Bruh, please, it's too much.
Oh, not if you know what you're doing. I can fix just about anything.
Uh-huh.
Figaro was still searching.
See? That's more like it.
A city was coming up ahead, where the buildings were in slightly better condition, and the vehicle slowed.
Bet you can't fix this place.